All right, guys, I know I'm cutting this just a little short. I still see people writing, but look, I want us to dive right into this. I have had an awesome time preparing for this morning just on some topics that are very, very important. And look, today I'm talking to you as much as I'm speaking, speaking to me as much as I'm speaking to you, and just really some important things. And I've already dialed in and written in my journal some stuff that I am going to be doing. So I'm doing today a couple different things I'm going to ask of you. Today, look, I want to hear from you on this chat thing before this ends. And my big question for you is, what are some of your daily standards? What is a daily standard in your real estate business? Mark it on the chat line. Let us hear about it. Perhaps by the end of this, you'll have something else that you want to share. But think about that. Now, look, I've spent some fun time because I spent about an hour in my journal last night writing down some of the stuff that I hope that you will engage in after we're done today. And that's why I'm hoping that when we're done, you'll take a few minutes to just write in your journal a few things. So I looked up this thing, which was, oh boy, and then I put it away. The word standard. We hear about that all the time, right? Daily standards, minimum standards. What are your standards? So I looked it up to see all the different descriptions. And so you've got either a noun that's a standard, so like person, place, or thing, right? So you've got a noun, which could be a basketball standard. Have you seen that? Or they have their standard or banner that they're carrying. I don't know if you've heard that, but it's a similar thing. Something someone might be carrying to show who they are, what they are, right? Have you heard of like a musical standard? It's a common piece of music that just widely known, a composition widely known, widely used. It's common, right? So you have nouns and adjectives, the descriptive word. And the adjectives might be something that's describing a standard or what a standard is. So look, just hang with me on this for just a second. But as you look at that and you hear about that, you think, well, let's look about standards of other companies in business. What are their standards? And not just, well, their standard is that they don't do returns in, that could be a standard. We don't take returns after 30 days or whatever. More of the idea of this carrying the banner type idea, like the standard that they live by. And if I were to throw that out to you right now, you would look at, and we've talked about this in the past, but it could be both. People own their standard, right? So if I looked at Nordstrom is very, very often their standard has been known for great customer service. That's the standard. That's the banner that they're waving. All right, if I were to look at Southwest Airlines, perhaps, what is the standard for that and the banner that we think of when we think of Southwest Airlines? Is it large, luxurious planes and an epic, comfortable flying experience? No, it's cheap airfare, probably less than experience than other airlines, whatever, you know. I've flown a lot of Southwest, but it's cheap and it gets you where you need to go, right? And so that's their standard. So if I were to look in this business, in our real estate, even if I looked in our company and thought, okay, well, what's the flag, the banner, the standard that George Morris is waving? Probably one of them would be personal development, right? That's what you think of when you think of George Morris. What if you went to Rob Oakey or Matt Barton? You'd be thinking, okay, risk management, care and concern for us and our livelihood and our licenses and compliance, right? That's kind of that banner that's being waved by them. If you were to look at, I'll use the easiest example because we say it so much, Brian Burnett. What would be the stand when you think of him, when his name gets said? Every one of you think prospecting every single day, right? That's the way that we think of it. So I have a few questions for you. If you have a pen and a paper, write it down. If you don't, you can go back and listen to these and write it down. But these are the questions I asked myself last night. And I hope that you'll ask them to yourself as well. Question number one, what are some of the standards in my life? What are some of the standards in my life? Number two, what standards are important to me and why? What standards are important to me and why? Now, this question was interesting because I didn't just think about the standards I have, and it moves into the next question, which is, what do I wish was a standard in my life? What do I wish was a standard in my life? Fourth, I don't know if I wrote this down great, but what about you would people say is your standard? What would others say is your standard? And that's kind of an interesting thing. I've left this, we've got about 50 people on the call. What would people say is your standard? My standard. That's how I wrote it. What would people say is my standard? And I got to be honest, there's some good things that I wrote down, and there are some not great things that I wrote down. And it was a gut check moment for me to say, hey, I actually want that to be a standard that people think of me. And then I start diving a little deeper. So those are the 4 questions I'm throwing out to you right now. But I'll tell you, it took me on this journey where I got a little bit deeper into this world of standards and started thinking, well, what would have to happen if I wanted, fill in the blank with whatever it might be that you want to be a standard in your life. If I wanted that to be the thing that I knew was my standard, and I knew that others knew was my standard, what would that look like? What would need to happen in order for me to get to that point? So agents, I'm here to tell you, these standards are critical, and it's not just, it's the twofold thing in my opinion. It's something that becomes like the musical standard or the adjective of just something in your life. It is something common, something that happens frequently, something that is standard in your life. And so if you look at that and consider that for a moment, that's the first point. And then the other point is, it's almost like this idea that you're like running down the street with this actual physical thing that is showing your standard, like a banner that you're waving that's got written on there, this is my standard. And usually, look, it's going to have to be just who you are, right? There's I'm thinking of a quote right now, and I might say it wrong, but it's actually, I'll say it the way that I'm thinking of it right now, but the gist of the idea is, tell people who you are and what you believe, and sometimes use words. So the idea there is just, it's about your actions, who you are, the way you treat people, and all that good stuff. So tell people, that's the phrase, but sometimes use words. Okay, and that's a standard. So I started going down this idea, and I started diving even deeper into the idea, and I thought, well, what in the world of standards would make the biggest difference in an agent's life right now? And this is the same thing that I have thought and believed for years, for me, for you, etc. It is creating and having daily minimum standards. Standards in your business. So I go back to those questions I asked, and you think, well, what if I applied those in business? What are some of the standards in my business? What standards in business are important or should be important to me? What do I wish was a standard in my business? What do other people say is a standard in my business? Look at your real estate career, your business, the thing that you wake up every morning and leave home to go and do. What are the standards in your business? And as you consider that, I believe that you, like me, will have some moment where you're saying, I've got some really good stuff going on, and I've got some stuff that if I want to make it important to me, which I do, I've got to work on. And as I thought about that, I thought, well, wow, there's no time like the present. There's nothing stopping you from getting this going right now. And so for fun, I do this every year, but I've done it a little earlier this year, I can promise you. I've started to look up all of the business days, the calendar days left in the year. And this is a fun discussion, and you'll hear me talk about it throughout. But basically, if I were to say to you, how many working days do you have left in 2020? Look, this year's been so crazy. I guarantee most of you are still thinking like me, oh, we're halfway through the year. Part of me still thinks it's March right now just because of everything that's been going on. Gang, there are 84 working days left in the year. 84 working days in 2020, Monday through Friday. I know some of you are working Saturdays and Sundays and blah, blah, blah. Just know that when you take away Christmas and New Year's and Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving and Labor Day and all that stuff, right? You're close to 84 more working days. So I think about that and I go, well, what would happen in your business if you just said, I can do this 84 times in a row? What is there that you could do 84 times in a row? What is there in this business that is so important? Like, I could go on forever and be talking about a million different things that you could and should be doing. Look, we can go backward to the 12 steps to the summit of success to say, here's some great daily minimum standards. But I'm going to put it into your hands right now. I might just throw out a couple of thoughts to you really quickly. And one of the chief things that it could be is to say, could I set one appointment every working day for the rest of this year? Could I? I know you can. I know that that's possible. But can you set one new appointment every day, every working day, 84 times between now and the end of the year? And what's crazy about that is what that would result in. Or perhaps, you know what? For the rest of the year, my daily standard is I'm going to be to the office by 8:30 every day, 9 o'clock, whatever it might be. Rick, I see Rick Bentley on here. He's like, yeah, that'd be a great standard. I'd be 3 hours later than I am now. So think about for a moment what those standards could look like for you and what that should be. If you have questions about what you want that to be, that's great. Here's another fun one that I thought of. Can you talk to, now I'm going to say something and some of you are going to go, oh, that's pathetic. You need to do more. Just stop and know that if you're already doing what I'm about to say and more, great. There are many who are not. And this would be awesome. Could you talk to 84 people from your sphere of influence? Could you call one person every working day for the rest of this year? One. And so that by the end of this year, you have spoken with 84 of your family and friends and loved ones. And you don't have to call them and say, hey, it's Jeremy, and I want to find out how you're going to help me grow my real estate business. Your call does not have to sound like that. But can you make a concerted effort to reach out to 84 of your family, friends, associates, people that you believe would refer you and refer a real estate transaction? Can you just call them and see how they're doing? You want to do that anyway, right? I mean, I know you do. Almost all entrepreneurs have that deep within them that they want to help people. They want to know people. They want to be a great contributor. They want to create and have great relationships. They want to lead. And because of that, I believe that you want to call these people either way. And I'm absolutely certain, as a result of your efforts to connect, that something will be said in this call of, well, what's new in your life? How are things going for you? And the horrible question when you're aging, but it happens. Are you still working in real estate? Every time I still hear that, I know I'm doing a bad job of connecting with people. But look, how's real estate going? You're going to hear from them. So think about for just a moment. And look, if you can, boy, get on the chat line, throw out to everybody what I see some stuff on here. Okay, couple things. Hey, some birthday wishes to me. Thank you, Rob. That's nice. It was my birthday 2 days ago, so I'm getting old. But throw out there on the chat line, guys. What are you going to do? What can you do for 84 days? I wonder if you're as thrown off by that number as me, or shocked by it, I guess. Just like, wow, this year is going to come to a close. And here's what's most important about setting these standards. Number one, you're in a moment right now where you could finish this year strong. You really can. You can finish this year strong. Make it happen. You can do it. And then second, when you have a strong finish to the year, guess what that means? It means you're going to have a strong start to the next year. Do any of you on this phone call want to have a strong start to 2021? Do any of you? I mean, you would not be on this call this morning if you weren't in on this. Then guys, I'm telling you, just one great thing you can do is create some daily minimum standards, which will then make you, it will make you become your greatest. It will force you and require of you to do this. And then when we talk about them, again, just one final thought on these. When you start to create standards, when you start to have these standards, what that will do is they will become a part of who you are. They will become a part of your life. And what I love about it is that when you create a standard and have a standard and you're not doing it, you become uncomfortable until you've accomplished that thing. So a great example, I do this all the time, but I love it. Have you ever woken up on a camping trip or on a vacation, you forgot a toothbrush or something, you didn't get to brush your teeth, right? I know we've all been there, I hope. And how do you feel when you don't get to brush your teeth? You're uncomfortable in your mouth until you get toothpaste and a toothbrush in there. You know that feeling, right? Or have you ever been out showing homes on a hot day and it's sunny outside and you're out in new construction lots and walking from house to house, you're getting hot and sweaty and you're uncomfortable? Or have you ever been out and you've gone to the gym or something and then you didn't have time to get to go shower and all that stuff before your next appointment? So you just had to throw your clothes on and you're going, oh man, until you get to brush your teeth, until you get to take that shower, you're uncomfortable, you're icky, you feel gross until it's done. And why? Well, that's not standard for everyone, right? Just go downtown Salt Lake and you'll see that there are people, I'm not teasing anyone here, this is a reality. There are many people who are comfortable with not brushing their teeth daily. They're not comfortable with showering daily. It's just the reality of it. And you can see how standards can change for individuals. But the main point that I'm bringing up to you is that if that's a standard, it's one that you can directly relate to, which is a fun example, then stop for a moment and think, wow, what if calling my SOI became so important to me it was like a standard? Or prospecting daily. I'm seeing some of the comments come through about prospecting every day. Calling my SOI, prospecting daily, set an appointment daily, whatever it might be, practicing my scripts and dialogues daily, right? Go to the 12 steps of the Summit of Success. Look at those things. I recognize that consistent action results from predictable outcomes, right? Like predictable outcomes from consistent actions. Like that's what we're talking about. And when those elements become a part of who you are, and you don't on a day set the appointment, you don't make the phone calls, you don't reach out to your SOI, you don't practice your script, you feel uncomfortable, you feel uneasy in your skin because you didn't do something that is a standard for you. So agents, figure out and create what your standards are, create something new for yourself, or do the gap filler thing, right? I gave you some great questions there. What are your standards? Identify that these are your standards in your life so that you know what kind of standard you're living by, who you are, the principles that are important to you. And then boom, it starts to change about what you know about yourself and who you are and what you are defined by. So write it down, figure out what those standards are, and begin to finish this year strong and prep. It's just the added benefit. I'm not talking about 2021 yet. We still have a ton of time left in this year, but the added side benefit is the greatness that will come at the beginning of next year. So agents, thank you for engaging today. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And let's rock and roll with some closing